What's up everyone, I'm Dave Mech and welcome to another video. And in this video we're gonna have a look at the new update for the Digitakt 2. And in another video, a separate video, we'll have a look at the Digitakt 2 update. Both really incredible. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it immediately. Let's go. So the first thing that I will show you is that we finally now have mono sampling. So if we go to the sampler, we can now choose with the B encoder between stereo, left, right mono, and left plus right mono. Very nice. This was very welcome because yeah, sometimes you just want to sample something in mono. And also there was this little weird bug where when you imported an old project from the Digitakt 1, it would sort of been stuck in mono but dual in global mode kind of thing. That is also fixed. So I'm really happy with that because I was a little bit stuck there. So next up we have the Comb Plus filter. We already had a Comb Minus filter. The Comb Minus filter sounds a little bit more tube-like, and the Comb Plus filter sounds a little bit more string-like. So to demonstrate this, I'll just scroll through the list. I have feedback quite high, low pass filter completely open, frequency right here. And I'm just going to scroll through the list and you will immediately hear it. Very cool sound. Ooh, it's already metallic. Nice. So very string-like. Can make some very awesome sounds with it, including the overdrive. And you can also use it as a delay. That's the cool thing. Very cool. And if we compare that to the Comb Minus filter, just for fun, completely different. Different sound, right? Both very cool. So I'm glad that they took this from the Digitakt 2 and put it into the Digitakt 2. Alright, so next up we got a cool little feature called swap tracks, track swap. So if we go to setup, Funk Plus filter, we can go to track swap now. It's an extra feature. And we can basically just hold two tracks. So I can hold this track 1. See, when I release it, it will be gone. Track 1, and I can select another track, let's say track 7. And then when I hold them, you can see them, they are now swapped. So now I got the kick right here and this awesome sound right there. So I can also swap them back. First 7 and back we are. Alright, next up is another very cool feature, and that is key tracking modulation matrix. So I love these modulation matrices, and they took this from the Digitakt 2 and put it into the Digitakt 2. And basically what you can do, you can set up 4 modulation destinations and their depths, either positive or negative. And then when you play across the keyboard, it will change the modulation depth accordingly. So if I set it to low pass filter frequency, for instance, in a negative way, the higher I play on the keyboard, the closer the filter will be set closed, more and more. And when I set it to a positive value, the filter will be opened the higher I play on the keyboard. Hope that makes sense. And the cool thing is, if we set this to the Comb Plus filter, or the Comb Minus filter, but the Comb Plus filter is actually especially very suitable for this. Frequency, and then I set this to a value of 8. We can actually play the comb filter, which is very cool. Because when I set this to 8, each note will, be like the 12-note system. So let's first go to the sample and make this very short. So we just got a blip, and then I sort of excite this comb filter. You can determine with the low pass filter how plucky it is or how stringy it is, and with the feedback how, see, it's a very short string, very like a muted string, or let it ring out. If we add some effects, it's actually brilliant. So, another neat little feature is that we can now add parameter logs to all the active trigs on a sequence. So if we go to this track, I guess, and I press and hold a trigger and then track, I can now add parameter logs to this whole thing. And also cancel them if I want to. Now they're all locked. So you can see that it has locked the filter cutoff to all these triggers, which is pretty neat. It's really, really nice. And I can also undo this, of course, by pressing a trigger, track, and pressing the encoder to remove the parameter logs from all these trigs at the same time. Again, this can speed up workflow immensely, especially the removing part is really nice. You can also use page, so you can press and hold a trigger, page, and then alright, so a bunch of other stuff. So these are all small but very significant, some are very significant changes. So the first thing that is really nice, so now we can always switch between global and pattern mutes, right? The purple mute mode is the pattern mute. But then when you turn the Digitakt II off, for years and years, when you turn it back on, it would be in global mute mode. But now it stays, look at that. It stays in pattern mute mode. Really nice. So another thing that is a really huge update, probably should have had a specific section in this video, but hey, what are you gonna do? So is that we have now routing options for the base width filter, also coming from the Digitakt II, which already had that. Yeah, having the ability to place the base width filter pre or post filter is really, really useful. This is one of those features that probably one of the best features they could have added to the Digitakt II, really, because often when using the filter, low frequencies can build up, for instance, or that sort of thing, and this gives us the ability to set the base width filter post instead of pre. It used to be always pre, so wonderful, wonderful addition. And the other one is that now we have a routing option for the overdrive as well. So we can set this pre or post filter, and this is very significant as well because it used to be pre-filter always, but routing a very resonant filter through an overdrive is very cool. So let's see why. So I'm gonna actually change the filter. Let's set it to multi-mode because that's super resonant. And maybe change. Well, let's use this kick sample. Why not? And you can. So this. Very nice. So this is pre-filter. And this is post filter. So we're basically boosting around the cutoff frequency and then routing it through the overdrive. It's very nasty. See, this is what we're used to. And with post, I like it. So this is another one of those very, very cool additions. Another interesting thing is that they improved the page LED contrast. So this should help people with color blindness, for instance. And in general, in dark environments, it is much, much clearer. So really happy with that. Also, when you hold page to activate fill, also should be a bit more obvious where the page is now. Very nice. Another cool thing is that we can go to kit load, or kit manage rather, and choose a kit, piano, and we can load to pattern, right? That's basically the usual thing. We can also load to empty, and basically what it will do, load to all empty patterns. So for you people that really like to have a template where you can start with an empty project and load in a kit on all empty patterns as your drum kit, your basic drum kit, this is the way to do it. So again, go to pattern and kit menu, manage kit, select the kit that you want, right arrow, and load to empty. Very nice. Then another small but nice little thing, they added another velocity curve. So we have the usual logarithmic, linear, and exponential, but now we also have another exponential, which has a higher starting point, as you can see. So this actually makes the exponential version a bit more useful, because it used to be so that the first like half almost was inaudible, and now it starts quite high at the bottom. So that's very useful. Another interesting thing that we can now do is if we go to the plus drive, to the sample browser, we can now load samples directly to a track. So usually we could only choose load to project, but now we can also choose load to track 6 or 5, 4, 3, etc. Very nice little feature. So another little addition or update really to the graphical user interface is that if we go to mod, we can now see that these mod destinations are separated in categories. That's very nice. The Digitakt II already had that, but it's a very nice addition. On top of that, if we press funk, it will snap to these categories, which is very nice. Really like that. Okay, so next up, the Personalize menu. So the Personalize menu is one of those things that I really like because they brought that from the Octatrack basically. The Octatrack already had a Personalize menu where you could set up some things that you like to add to your workflow or to change regarding the workflow. And they keep adding stuff to the Digitakt now, and I'm sure more will come in the future. The things that they currently added, for instance, was live recording overdub. Meaning that if you live record and there are already triggers in the sequencer, it will now add notes or change the notes rather on those triggers rather than replacing them. So for the audio tracks on the Digitakt II, this doesn't change a whole lot because it's a monophonic sequencer, but for the MIDI tracks, you will be able to record notes on top of existing trigs, creating chords and that sort of thing. So that's pretty interesting. And on the Digitakt II, this is actually very, very welcome, a very interesting feature. For the Digitakt II on the audio tracks, this is a minor feature, I'd say. Parameter live recording. You can also, this is pretty nice. Basically, when you turn this to all, it will work like it used to. When you record parameter locks, it will create lock trigs next to the note trigs, which will have the parameter locking that you live recorded in. But you can also change this to trig, and now when you record parameter changes live, it will only add the parameter locks to already existing trigs, which can be very cool, especially combination with the Euclidean mode, for instance. If you have a bunch of interesting rhythms created, you could set this to trig and change the decay time, and it will just add those to the existing trigs or the release or reverb or whatever. So you won't get weird changes in between trigs. It will only record those changes to the trigs already there, which is quite nice. So another very welcome feature is the track select option. So usually when you set this to normal, right, this would be the default behavior like we're used to, is when you press a trigger, it will also play the sound. If you don't want that, you press and hold track and select a different sound for it to be silent. Now we can also set this to silent, and now it will just be silent whatever I do, which is actually quite nice, certainly in live situations. For me, this is a very welcome feature when playing live. It's just easier to be able to just select a track and change something rather than doing this, because sometimes I'm working with another, I'm having one hand on the synthesizer, one hand on the mixer, for instance, to create a build-up or something, and sometimes I have to change tracks like this to not trigger the sound. So this is really, really nice. And then we have manual, which is also very interesting, is that it basically, when you select a track with track, it will keep that selected, and I can now trigger all the other sounds without changing the selection, which is actually pretty cool, because you could actually live record parameter changes for this track while also drumming in an extra hi-hat, for instance, or something like that. So that actually opens up some interesting creative options as well. And then we have inverted, and well, yeah, kind of speaks for itself. Silent when selecting like this, and like this. It will trigger the sound. So this might be actually the version that I'll choose from now on. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this content, please subscribe, hit the notification bell thingy, and press like to like the video. It really helps. Also, just want to point out, I have a huge in-depth course for the Digitakt II. Like, it's really in-depth. It's 17 hours of material almost, and growing. And it covers everything from the basics to creating a full groove, then into mixing, then into arranging it into a complete song, and then performance as well. And for each of the modules, so basically you have the basics, then you have advanced groove design, it's another module, then you have mixing as a separate module, you have arrangement as a separate module, performance as a separate module, and then another module for overbridge and MIDI related stuff. And each of these modules are really in depth, and each of these modules use different grooves, different patterns that we create. Some of them will be created from scratch, the first two modules, and the others will have a starting point that we will then use to mix and arrange and perform with. It basically covers everything from the Digitakt II, and I think you'll really like it. So if you want to dive much deeper into the Digitakt II, whether you are a beginner or a very advanced user already, I'm sure you will have a lot of information to gather from it. And just want to throw that out there. In any case, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.